Today's video is brought to you by MusicBed. In this video, I'm heading up to Snowdonia in northern Wales to explore and photograph two of the world's largest abandoned slate quarries. It's a trip where the experience definitely wasn't lacking, and by far one of the coolest places I've been since moving here to the UK. But with that being said, the image making wasn't without its challenges, and it left me thinking about a question that I've been asking myself a lot recently. What's more important, the image or the experience?
Okay, so just kind of got out here today, started about an hour and a half ago, but been exploring this area, doing a hike today basically to this old slate quarry and this, I guess, like village that was with it. But you know, I'm like half a kilometer into the hike so far, and it's just incredible. Surrounded by basically all these mountains, all this old slate, and a whole bunch of structures already. So there's an old cabin here, barn, a collapsed house over there. It's just, yeah, pretty incredible area. So excited to see what else is around. Got quite a bit more of the day left. Gonna wait till the light gets a little nicer, but honestly, this is one of those places where I could just explore all day and be happy enough just with that. So this is pretty cool. This is the old church or chapel, and obviously no roof anymore, but it still has kind of the arched windows, well, openings for the windows. Just so much history here. It's so cool that this stuff's just kind of sitting out here. Wow. So this is truly like no other place I've ever been before. There's a bunch of like buildings up here built into the side of these slate piles. Curious what's up over there. I think the village is there. Come on, fingers crossed.
This was one of those places that for me just felt surreal. Empty, quiet, having a spot like this all to yourself. And it's hard not to imagine that it really wasn't that long ago that there was still life and activity up here.
So I'm assuming those are probably the old workers' houses there. Just a ton of stuff here. It's huge. A lot of it is just kind of pieces of walls and stuff, but it's a pretty big village. So I'm shooting 4x5 this trip, or that's the plan at least. Got some HP5 loaded up. As amazing as this area is, it's just been fun exploring it, but the light is kind of clouded over a bit, gone a little overcast, and it's a little flat right now. I feel like this is one of those spots, especially with everything basically being kind of middle gray, where you really need some direct light for some shadows. But brought the Olympus XA with some Fomapan, so figure I'm here, gonna shoot a couple snapshots while I'm at it.
All the work that I've been making so far in Wales, I've been shooting black and white, and I've been really happy with how it's looked. But I realized quickly at this spot, just like I mentioned with the dominant features in the scene being the slate and then the green grass, it was hard to get any type of depth or separation or definition in the images, especially without any dramatic light or really harsh directional light. So wasn't happy with any of the images I made with the Olympus. Set up the 4x5, but actually didn't end up shooting, which is probably not a bad thing because I didn't waste any film. That's just how it goes sometimes. So it was getting a little later, starting to run out of some light, so I decided to head back down and just revisit one spot that I checked out earlier in the day, right at the start of the trail.
So it's actually a great image here. Just found this composition, was walking the path, decided to come up here, but love just the leading line of this road. Not a huge fan of that gate, but absolutely love how the old house contrasts against the sky. So some nice kind of variation in tones with this one. And I think it's definitely worth shooting.
So this is the image from the Olympus, and I really like how this turned out. I'm a big fan of this composition and just the different elements in this image. But with the 4x5, unfortunately I had a light leak issue and half the frame's fogged, which was a little bit of a disappointment because I thought this was going to be the one image that I walked away from this trip with that was a keeper. So at the end of the first day I ended up with no images, but this area just has a ton of potential, and I'm excited to return and shoot some color film in the future. Hey everyone, so I hope you're enjoying the video so far, but before we jump into day 2, I just want to quickly talk about Music Bed, who's the sponsor for this video. I've been using them for a long time now for commercial video production work and also for the films that I make, so I was super excited a couple years back when they announced their subscription model, which now allows me to use their music for this YouTube channel. Not only is their library massive with a ton of variety, but it really is one of a kind because it has high quality music from real artists that you'll actually want to listen to. In the shadows down below, and you get me wondering if it's... For me, music is absolutely one of the most important parts of the creative process. It drives the edit, the emotion, the pacing, the visuals, so it's super important for me to have a resource that I can be excited about. If you're creative, I highly recommend checking out Music Bed. Like I said, they really are one of a kind. And I put a link below to my playlist on their website that has a bunch of my favorite tracks. And you can also use the code Kyle McDougall at checkout, which will give you 1 free month when you purchase one of their annual individual subscriptions. Anyways, let's jump back into day 2 in Snowdonia.
So this is the Dinorwig, I believe is how you say it, quarry, old slate quarry, closed in, I believe, the late 60s, early 70s, but at the time, it was the second largest slate quarry in the entire world. So it's just absolutely massive here. There's like 10 or 12 different levels, all these old workers' huts, all these places that you can visit. And so far it just looks incredible. Obviously the landscape surrounding it's pretty wild. And I feel like this is one that you definitely need more than just one day, probably multiple days, if not even more than that. But looking forward to exploring it today, see how much we can get to, but let's get rolling. So the first place I'm headed is the barracks where the workers used to stay. I think they're just down here. There's like 2 big rows of what used to be, I guess, the houses. And from what I've seen online, it looks like a pretty neat spot. I'm hoping it's just right here because I don't want to go too far down. I want to get up into some of that stuff after, but we'll see. So these barracks are really cool. The main ones are over there, just following along this path. But yeah, not seeing anything that I'd want to pull the 4x5 out for, but shot a couple images with the trusty Olympus. Got 14 left to shoot today. So actually glad I brought this little camera, like I said, loaded with some Fomapan. And yeah, I just love this thing. Like I said in my kind of mini review there, it's just like the take anywhere, you know? Bring a 4x5 kit, throw this in your pocket, and it's nice for situations like this where if you aren't kind of feeling anything, you can still take some shots that might turn out. This place is just endless. It's crazy. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. I think I'm gonna go up those stairs and then up that massive other set there, and hopefully get up near the top to some of these buildings. Some cool tunnels. Not a bad view. Okay, up there to there. Getting there. Hoping there's something up here. So this place is just crazy. That's quite the climb up here. So I'm like, oh, what was that noise over here? They went for quite the hike. No idea what that is. It's just all this old machinery, buildings. This place is pretty wild. It's like the old, well, one of the old huts, but obviously people have somewhat kept it in shape. There's like these garbage bags installed around the door to keep some of the draft out. It's got a cool fireplace. This actually might make a pretty interesting photo. So cool. People obviously stay here. Probably who are climbing. Old jacket, old shoes here. That's crazy. Wow. This place just keeps on going. Let's go one more scene here that I found. These two old cabins or sheds or whatever they are, and then I just really like how there's like this pile of rubble essentially sliding into them. The contrast is pretty cool. And then right now we got some nice sun coming from the right, so when it's out it just illuminates the face of that one cabin and gives it some definition. So might let the sun get filtered just a little bit and then I'm going to shoot this.
This first image is from the Olympus, and if anything, it shows me the potential that this area has when the light gets a little lower and you get some direction. Unfortunately, the 4x5 frame again had the exact same light leak issue, so a little bit of a disappointment there, but wasn't really too upset because this isn't an image that I would necessarily consider a keeper.
Okay, so this is a little gnarly. Not gonna lie, I don't think I'd go up those.
I finished up the day with two more images just as the sun was setting, and they actually turned out to be two of my favorite from the trip. Overall, even though I didn't come away from this trip with anything that I was really that excited about, this place in particular just has so much potential. And if anything, these images that I created just made me that much more excited to get back to this place, probably with some color film, and explore what I can create here.
Okay, so that's a wrap. 2 days here in Snowdonia. Huge day today. Yesterday was as well. Just put on a lot of mileage, and you know, this place today, this Dinorwig quarry, the scale of it is like overwhelming, just massive, and it's work just getting around here, especially with the 4x5 and video equipment and stuff. But this trip, you know, it was a quick one, 2 days, but it's a reminder big time about just how important the experience is, you know, and it's almost in a way starting to become more important for me. And not that I don't care about the images, they are really important to me, but I just never want the image making to take away from the experience. And for me in the past, it has, you know, just overwhelmed me and made me not enjoy things as much as I should have. So at the very least, Had an incredible 2 days exploring this area. I'll be back very soon, especially to this spot. It's just wild.